My dad gave the family business that I had built to my deadbeat brother, and it went about as well as you'd expect. After 12 years of turning my dad's struggling startup into an industry leader, I thought I'd finally earn his respect. Instead, at a celebratory family dinner, he stood up with a smug smile and announced, "Brandon will be taking over now." Just like that. 12 years of sacrifice dismissed in 7 words. My relatives applauded. My brother smiled like he'd earned it. Meanwhile, I sat there forcing a grin, trying to hide the fact that my entire world had just been flipped upside down. I raised my glass and said, "To new beginnings," even though inside I was furious. The truth is, the company was barely surviving when I was growing up. I remember finding my mom crying over unpaid bills, while my dad insisted everything would work out. It never did. As a teenager, I could already see the mistakes he kept making. After earning my MBA, I begged for a chance to help. Dad reluctantly gave me a tiny office and warned me not to expect special treatment. So I didn't. I worked harder than everyone else. I learned every part of the business, spent nights fixing operational problems, built client relationships from scratch, and modernized systems that hadn't been updated in years. Slowly, everything changed. I secured major corporate contracts, expanded operations across the country, and introduced technology that put us ahead of competitors. Employees who were ready to quit stayed because they believed in the vision. What had once been a failing regional company became a $75 million national powerhouse. Every milestone was built on my blood, sweat, and countless sleepless nights. My father never once acknowledged it. And when success finally arrived, he handed the company to the one person who had done absolutely nothing to build it. There were a few moments that completely changed the company. One of the biggest was when I convinced Novacore Technologies, a fast-growing tech giant, to leave their longtime logistics provider and sign with us instead. My dad laughed when I suggested going after them. He told me not to waste my time, but I spent months studying their business, identifying their problems, and building relationships with key decision makers. When I finally secured the contract worth $12 million a year, Dad didn't congratulate me. He simply called it a lucky break. Then came the West Coast expansion. Dad had rejected the idea for years, convinced the market was too competitive. I built the business plan, secured financing, and launched operations in Los Angeles anyway. Within 18 months, our California division was outperforming our original headquarters. Under my leadership, the company exploded in growth. Employees who were ready to quit stayed. Major clients came on board. Even competitors started recognizing Carter Freight Solutions as one of the industry's strongest companies. But no matter how much success I brought in, I kept waiting for something that never came, recognition from my father. I wanted him to admit that I had saved the company. Instead, at a dinner surrounded by family, friends, and business partners, he stood up and announced that my brother Brandon would be taking over. The same brother who had spent years jumping from one failed venture to another while I worked 80-hour weeks building the business. Everyone applauded. Brandon smiled and acted humble, but I knew the truth. He didn't care about the company. He cared about the title. So I raised my glass, forced a smile, and said, "To Brandon." But inside, I was already planning my next move. I smiled, raised my glass, and made a decision that night. I was done. 3 weeks later, I resigned. My family called me ungrateful, accused me of sabotaging Brandon, and never once acknowledged everything I had sacrificed. So I walked away and started my own company, Horizon Logistics Group. I invested my savings, hired a small team, and worked harder than ever. The first year was brutal, but every success was mine. Within 3 years, Horizon became one of the fastest growing logistics companies in the country. Meanwhile, Carter Freight Solutions began falling apart. Experienced managers quit, major clients left, and Brandon seemed more interested in his executive office than running the business. The final blow came when they lost a multi-million-dollar contract that I had personally secured years earlier. Within 4 years, the company had lost nearly half its value. Then one rainy afternoon, my receptionist told me I had visitors. I looked through the lobby doors and saw my dad and Brandon standing there. For the first time in their lives, they weren't looking down on me, they were looking up.